Hi everyone, thanks very much for joining me today. So nice to see so many of you here again. So this is where we're headed today. I thought we'd have a go at making this lovely little gift box to put those quick cards in that I made the other day. So I've made the little box, put it all together, put my cards in, and then suddenly realised that the envelopes, of course, are bigger than the cards. So the envelopes actually sit proud at the top of the box. Now I've just realised that I haven't actually cut a sentiment today, like this little with love one that I've used on my original box. I've forgotten to do it for today, but that's not a problem. I can do that later and add it on. You'll get the gist of what it is that I'm doing. So how have I made this project? The first thing that I've used is Lisa's fabulous Collage Florals paper pad. The Collage Florals, which is what I used on this one. Today I'm using the Vintage Garden. Now these came out together and I have to say the quality of these paper pads is absolutely amazing. And if you were interested in buying either of these, they are currently on sale at half price. They were $14.99, but they're currently on sale for $7.49. Now there are 24 single-sided sheets in here and they're 200 GSM, so they're a really good quality, and they're 8 by 8 inches and they are fabulous paper pads. So if you're looking to grab a bargain, they're on sale at half price at the moment. Okay, and this is the one I'm using today. I'll just put those to one side. Now you can see on the front I've added some flowers, and I've used the fabulous Buttercup Bloom stencil and die set and embossing folder. So I didn't want to put it on as one piece, so what I've done is cut into it and made it 3 separate pieces, and then I've added 3D pads to the top one, so the top one sits proud of the bottom two. Okay, and I just think it gives like a little finish to the front of the box without it being too plain. Okay, so that's what I've used, and obviously the embossing folder and the stencil, the die that goes with that. And then I've also used the Wildflower Garden die set for the cards that go inside the box. I'm using that today as well, and I'm also using the wildflower spray as my decoration for on the front, because I didn't want it to be the same as the one I'd already done. I haven't used the flowers out of these, I've used the sentiments off the stamp sets instead. So I've used happy birthday, have a lovely day, thank you, thinking of you, thanks a bunch, and just for you. And then I've also used from this set that little leaf there, and I'll show you how I've used that in a little while. Hi Lisa. So that's what I'm using today, and this is what I'm making. So let's make a start. Now I've done all my cutting and I've done all my scoring and I've done all my sticking, because it's that takes up the time, and I didn't really want to take up time with you just watching me sitting scoring paper and what have you. So I've done all that in readiness. Okay, so I hope you don't mind. Right, measurements time. Hope you've all got your pen and paper ready. So you're starting off with a 12 by 12 piece of card, and this is why I liked this particular set. There are others on Pinterest, but this one just used one piece of 12 by 12 card. It really could do with being double-sided, because obviously you want the inside to look equally as nice as the outside. So double-sided 12 by 12 cardstock. Okay, this is just cheap 12 by 12 cardstock, just so that I can show you the measurements. So you need to cut your 12 by 12 card into 2 pieces. Your first piece is this one, and this is 12 by 9 inches. It's all in inches. After I'd spent all day yesterday changing all the measurements, I couldn't be bothered to go and do them into centimetres, so I do apologise for that. Thank you, Anne, that's very kind of you. Right, so this piece is 12 by 9. Hi Deborah. And what you need to do is score your card on the long side at 5 2/8. Tell me if I'm going too fast, won't you? Score it at 5 2/8 and 6 6/8. Okay, I know it sounds fiddly, all this 6/8 business, but it isn't really. And then you need to turn it round and score it on the shorter side at 3/8 and 2 2/8. Hi Doreen. Okay, and then when you've done that, see where these little crosses are here, you're going to be cutting that away. Okay, so if I show you what you're going to be left with, this is what you're left with when you've cut these two pieces out. Yes, Connie, it will go on YouTube, as will last Thursday's, and I apologise for the fact that it isn't there already. But yes, hopefully that's my afternoon job and maybe tomorrow morning job. Okay, so once you've cut these away, this is what you're left with. Now, if you're using a textured cardstock, which has sort of got a linen-y effect on one side and it's a bit plainer on the other, make sure that you've got the linen effect on the inside, because you're going to be covering most of the outside with your matte and layered papers and card. Okay, so you don't want to cover over all this beautiful texture. Put it on the plain side. Right, so this is what you're left with after you've done all your measurements on your main piece of card. Okay, then you want your smaller piece, and you're going to make this 9 by 3. So you cut off 3 inches, so you don't need that extra bit. So you're just left with this piece, which is 9 by 3. Alright, right, back to the 9 by 3 piece. So on the long side, you need to score it at 3/8 and 1 7/8, and then turn it round and do exactly the same the other end. So 3/8 and 1 7/8. Okay, and then when you've done those, turn it round so that you're scoring down on the short side, good, and score it at 3/8. Okay, and again, where these little crosses are here, you're going to be cutting that away. So once you've cut all your bits away and you've done all your scoring, this is what you're left with. Okay, so this is going to form your box where your cards are going to be alongside this bit. Alright, I've inserted pictures of the templates here for you. This first one is the main part of the box, and then this second one here is the smaller part that's going to form the part of the box that holds your cards. So I hope that's helpful for you. Before you glue all this together, I would decorate your panels and decorate your box, because once you've glued it all together, it's not as easy to put pressure on to glue everything down. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to glue this piece on here. Right, so I'm going to put this down here, and you'll see where it glues into place, because everything lines up. If you've cut everything right and you've measured everything right, everything will line up. A tiny weeny bit of wiggle room, not a great deal with Lisa's glue, but it is the most fabulous glue. So that's my front of my box attached to the main part of the box. Okay, now I'm going to do the matting and layering and all the decorating before I put this together. So these are my matted and layered pieces. So I've got a piece for the front and a piece for the back, a piece for the spine, and a piece for the front of the box here. Okay, now my black card that's on the back of here, I've got 2 pieces, 6 5/8 by 5 1/8, and this piece is 5 1/8 by 2 4/8, and then this piece is 6 5/8 by 1 3/8. Told you there was a lot of measurements, didn't I? So the designer paper, as I say, this is from the Vintage Garden. The designer paper is 6 4/8 by 5 and 5 by 2 3/8. So all I've done is gone in 1/8 from all my other measurements. So I've gone in 1/8 from here to get to the black, and in 1/8 from the black to get to the designer paper. Okay, so that makes it easier. If you write down the first measurement, you should be able to work out all the other measurements yourself. Okay, now before I do any of that, I need to put my fastening on. Now you can do several different types of fastening. If you wanted to use magnets, you could use magnets and put your magnets under your paper. So when your paper's on there, your magnet's under here. Okay, and it would be the same on this piece here. So before you put your piece on here, your magnets would be under here. So you put one at the top and one at the bottom, and the same here, one at the top and one at the bottom, and then they would sort of attract to each other. Okay, I didn't want to use magnets, I wanted to use ribbon. So before I do anything else, I'm putting my ribbon down. Now you can see that I'm using the red liner tape. I don't usually use tape, I always use glue, because tape does tend to dry out. But because I'm putting card on top of this, I'm not worried about the tape drying out, because the card pieces will protect this as well. Okay, now I've just measured where I want this to be, and I want this to sit at the top of my little box. Okay, so it's just about lining everything up and deciding what sort of fastening you want and how you want it to look when you're finished. Okay, so I'm going to take that red liner off, and I found the middle of my ribbon, which is going in the middle of there, the spine there, and across the front. Now I've used black. I used a sort of a similar colour ribbon to my colour scheme on this one, but apart from not having any ribbon the same, I just wanted it to look a little bit different. Cream didn't look right, the pinks that I'd got clashed with this pink, so black it was. So that's my ribbon in place, and then I will trim the ends when I fasten it. Let's put the back on here. So you can see I haven't got huge matted and layered elements. There's just enough to give a hint of the colour of the box that's underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to put my glue on the back here and add this down on my cardstock. And just make sure that it is in the right place before you press it down. Now the other thing that I did on the other one was when I put my ribbon down, I did use glue. Now I don't know whether you can see, but there's a bump here, and that's where the glue is. So what I would probably do if I was going to use this set, I'm not. If I was going to use this set, I might be tempted to put another same as this on the inside, just to cover that over, just so that you can't see it. You won't really see it on the back because your cards are in the way. Okay, so that's why I decided to go on this one with my red liner tape. Right, so that's the back. We'll do the spine, and then before I put the front on, I'm going to add my wildflower spray to that panel, because I'm not actually using it all. Now what I want to try and do is make sure that I line up the bottom of this with the bottom of that, so that when you're looking at it and you turn it round and it all looks the same, it all measures up beautifully. Okay, so then this one is going to have my wildflower spray added to it. Now I didn't want to put it across the middle. I suppose I could, but I didn't want to. I just wanted it to look a little bit quirkier. So what I thought I would do is turn it so that I've got all the flowers on, probably those leaves as well. No, there, that'll do. So if I put it there, I've got all the flowers on that I want, and I'm just going to trim off some of the leaves. Okay, it's not going to detract from the main image, but obviously I don't want these hanging over the edge because then my box won't stand up properly. Okay, so if I take my pads off, put this down and then trim off the edges after I've added it to my front cover. Okay, so flower, flower, like that. Okay, and I've put it on 3D pads just to give it an added little bit of interest, just so that it's not flat on the card. And I've gone with pinks to pick out the pink in the paper. I was going to pick out the sort of petrol-y blue, but I didn't want to do one the same colour as I'd already done, so I've gone with picking out the pinks, hence this colour paper, this colour cardstock rather. Okay, so I'm just going to go along and trim off the excess leaves, which isn't very much at all. It's a shame to trim it off, but I don't really think it makes that much difference. I mean, it's on the edge of a piece of card, so you wouldn't expect it to hang over the edge, would you? Okay, so we'll just pop this down. On the front here. Like so. Make sure that the bottom lines up with the bottom of this. Okay. So that's the front and the back of my box done. And now I'm going to just put the front panel on here. I mean, if you wanted to, you could add something on the front here if you wanted, but I don't really think it needs it. So make sure I've got it the right way up, because I don't want the writing upside down. Although really I don't think it would matter, because nobody's going to be looking that close to see, oh, we should put the paper the right way up, but it is. So again, just in 1/8 on everything, so it's quite easy to work out. And then what I need to do is glue down the rest of the front of this box. So I'm going with these flaps first, and I would do them separately. I wouldn't try and do them all together. That way you're not going to get glue in the wrong places, and you know that it's going to dry properly. Okay, so I'm going to put them glue on here and hold these down. So if you fold them in and then bring your box forward, line up your edges and just hold it down until it sticks where you want it to stick. Line it up, because you don't want it not meeting the edge, and then just hold it down till it's taken, which doesn't take long. Okay, and then put my glue on these two pieces here. I'm going to put my glue on these two flaps and stick this down, and that will help the other two pieces stick down too. Okay, fold it forward, line it up so that you've got it's lined up with your spine on this side, and it's lined up with the edge of the box on this side. Okay, so there's your front of your box, and that's all your box done. Okay, and then once you've decided where you want your ribbon, how long you want your ribbon, then you just trim that accordingly. So if I just fasten this, I'm not going to trim it now, I'll trim it later. I mean, you can, I'd probably put that ribbon a little bit high. Ignore the fact that the ribbon's too long, as I'm going to trim it later. I could have put it a little bit lower so that it sits round this box. It might give you a better fastening. It won't sort of pull the box out of shape. Okay. The finished box, Connie, is just over 5 by, it's just over 5 by just over 6.5 height and width, and there is enough room there to fit in 6 cards and envelopes. Okay, now my cards and envelopes I've already made, because you saw me making quick cards the other day, so I've made some more here. Now the colours I've used on here are Kitsch Flamingo, Shabby Shutters and Peacock Feathers. Now these are oxides, and when I did the cards the other day, I used distress inks, and that's the difference that you get. The colours when you're using distress inks are going to be more vibrant, because they soak into the card, but these blend beautifully with each other, and they give more of a chalky soft finish. So that's the difference when you're using distress or oxides. And all I've done again is cut out several of the wildflower stems and then just added some tiny weeny little what are they called, dewdrops, and some ordinary pearls, and I've used different sentiments. And then just to give it an added little bit of interest, I've just added a leaf on the envelope. It's just something silly, but it just makes it look a little bit special, I think. So all my cards, there's 6 of them here, are going to go into my box. Oh no, you see, they're still not right, are they? Do you know why? Because I made this box to fit these envelopes. So when I put these envelopes in, it's going to fit beautifully. I am so stupid sometimes. Anyway, the principle of the thing is to make a little gift box for your cards and make it big enough for your cards to fit in without them sticking out the top. Although, I suppose it doesn't look that bad. But if I take these out and put these in, these are the perfect size. See? Yeah, beat you to it, Lorraine. And then obviously I would put my little banner with love or whatever I chose. Yes, Lisa, yes. Perhaps your comment was right earlier on. I have been with you too long. No, don't mean that. I don't mean that. So yeah, this box will fit cards this size, which are 5 3/4 by just over 4 inches. Perfect little cards for, you know, posting, because the postage is going to be really good on those. So I'm going to leave you now with some photographs of the boxes that I've made. The very small green one, the pink one, and then a larger one that I've made for the cards that didn't fit the box that I made today, if that makes sense. So no live from Natasha tomorrow. She'll be back with you next Tuesday. Don't forget that Lisa is live at 7 p.m. this Friday for her fabulous craft along, and you all know what products you need to join in if you want to. If you don't want to join in, you can watch and then play it back and do it at your leisure. That's not a problem either. So I will be back next Monday. There's no live from me this Thursday because I have my grandchildren staying. So next Monday at 1 o'clock, and all being well, I should be making a shaker card, as I was asked could I do one. And if I can do it on a live, then hopefully anybody can do it. That's if it works. So I'd just like to say thanks very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry about the sound problems, and I hope it didn't spoil it too much for you. And I'll see you all again next Monday. So have a fabulous week, a good weekend, and I'll see you Monday. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.